Ryan, let's talk about this team, and they pulled off a big move. I love the move. In fact, you'd be surprised because you've seen our text line and you're on social media. There's always somebody that's going to be negative about anything, but I didn't see anybody that didn't love the Josh Naylor trade. Mm-hmm. It seemed a consensus, universal, like, oh, they went out and got a dude. They got a guy who's not 36. He's 28, and he's in the prime of his career, and he's a guy who's a problem in a lineup, and he doesn't strike out a ton. He had a hit in each of the games he's played in so far, but what was your reaction to that move? Any surprise, or you like it, you don't like it? Where are you at with that?
Well, it's interesting. Like, anytime we're talking about Naylor and Geno Suarez, it's like, okay, you're sort of in your mind not really diving into some of the numbers. You're profiling this high strikeout, high power, 31 home runs last year. Maybe he can't hit lefties. It's not the kind of hitter he is, period, at all. He's a way more complete hitter this year. He's handling lefties, obviously, because he's playing every day. Totally handling lefties. Obviously, the slug and everything's down from last year. But again, we've still got plenty of time to go. But, just watching what he was doing, like last year, one of the knocks on him was, strikeout numbers was a little up and not plus contact against lefties or really nothing doing. This year, that's not the case at all. So he can handle lefties, handle righties, more of a dynamic hitter. I love the fact, too, we saw this last couple of days where he's kind of willing to do some of those extra little things, man. And I'm saying this, like, for example, grabbing the extra base, being a little bit smarter on the bases. You don't want this station-to-station, high strikeout, all-or-nothing swing. The Mariners don't need that, man. They've got 48, 49% of their runs on home runs. You need something to complement. Once you get through the meat of that lineup, all right, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a long at-bat. It's going to be a problem. And by the way, he can base run a little bit, which is weird thinking about Josh Naylor in that regard. But I say that because we just saw the Brewers at home, and I was paying attention to them. They're a team that didn't do anything. Matter of fact, they subtracted in the offseason. And here they are. They just play really smart. They're always grabbing that extra base on you. And the lineup is so much balance to that lineup with guys who you don't know who they are. And it's a tough one, man. Like I always look through this from a pitcher's lens. And you look at the Mariners, all right, top heavy, essentially, when you look at some of the damage. Then you get through the middle, obviously Cal, and then Randy, who's on a tear right now. And then after that, you're like, this is pretty pitchable. Now all of a sudden you add a Josh Naylor. It's not the case, man. That one hitter can kind of change that. Now, if you had a guy who had a high strikeout rate and was a home run threat, it's a little bit different because you can pitch a little bit differently. But more of that balance, man, I love it. But this is good. And by the way, too, look, on the offensive side, I can jump into getting a bullpen arm, and I love the fact Jerry DiPoto was pretty vocal about that. I still feel like they're going to go pretty hard here when there's some names popping up that I'm like, oh, God, please go get them. Cade Smith being one of them. Oh, man, I'm a huge Cade Smith fan. But just back to the D-backs and the Mariners, right? You look at this and say, okay, if the D-backs are willing to go ahead, make this move relatively early because they're still hovering in the NL West, they're willing to say, all right, we're going to sell off here a little bit. We've got some rental players we're going to sell off. You've just done a deal, whether it be through text message, phone calls, or whatever. All right, here's your Brandon Garcia. Here's another prospect for you, Nizzy. And give us Josh now. All right, great. Good. Shake hands. Boom. Now, all of a sudden, you kind of have a bearing of what the team you're dealing with has and what they're willing to give up. I think that gives, if you are going to go after a Geno Suarez, for example, and the price is right, I feel like it gives the Mariners a little bit of a leg up because now all of a sudden it's like, hey, look, let's just kind of keep the wheels turning here to try and make another move. Now, if they do go, and I've been telling you guys this all the time in regards to some of the bullpen help, man, that's going to cost you the least out of all this. So they did get a little bit of offense there, more of a balanced hitter. Now, in my opinion, go after that middle. I'm not saying middle of the pack bullpen in regards to go get someone. I'm saying get a high leverage arm and fill up that bullpen for those middle innings.
Hey, Ryan, you were talking about this on the postgame show yesterday about Logan Gilbert and just, the bottom of the fifth and how it kind of unwinds there and how frustrating it is. But, I mean, other than, like, it's just one of those games, for Logan. We know how good he is. But, I mean, this isn't anything that's like uncommon, right? Of his bottom of the fifth when, everything, he hits a batter, walks, things like that. What do you see at this point from Logan Gilbert?
I'm still saying you go back a start ago. And look, one thing with Logan Gilbert, and I'm saying this because of his size and because of he's really athletic, don't get me wrong. but he's got those long levers, and you feel like if he tries to overthrow, he's that guy that he does it, not saying often, but we've been seeing it a lot this year because he's had that kind of fluctuation in velocity early on. But when he tries to overthrow, those 1-inch misses that you get from, myself or someone else, for Logan, I feel like they turn into 3 or 4 inches of miss. When you saw that inning yesterday, you could see it from a mile away, man. Just the frustration. And the other part of this is, too, you're in a pressure cooker because you know that the Mariners are coming back to the dugout, super frustrated with Hendricks on the other end of this, way below bat speed, slower than slow. They're coming back, probably throwing a helmet or whatever it may be. And you have that kind of angst in the dugout. And you had that, and I just could kind of see this building where it's like nothing. Logan's been outstanding. And then all of a sudden, chip away. And then, boom, that frustration hits you. Now, Logan, again, man, he's been on the ropes before, don't get me wrong. But I just felt like with him, there was just that one, I'm not going to call it a split second, but a good 3 minutes worth of anchoring on some of the bad stuff that was happening. And then all of a sudden it unraveled. And that's before the home run too, by the way. Because man, what's at stake. He hasn't been getting any run support all season. If you look at the numbers, man, he's up there in regards to the least amount of run support. And so you could kind of just see that unraveling. Now, I still say this all the time. George Kirby and Logan Gilbert are moving further and further away from their little IL stints, right? George Kirby was on the ropes, the night before, or a couple nights before, whatever it was. And he was able to work out of it. That's huge. That's massive. You do that once or twice, man, you can get right back to that maximum output that you used to. I think with Logan, it was just that one instance, and we've just been seeing this a little bit where the ball gets sprayed, especially the fastball gets sprayed a little bit, and then all of a sudden he's 3-0, 3-1, 2-1, frustration, and then boom, that's where that chip away comes from, especially a lineup like that, man. And that's kind of what happened with Logan. And again, not to pile on here, but knowing that you're not going to get a whole lot of run support because of what was going on the other end, man, it was tough, and it sucks because he's really good.
Yeah, that's a frustrating element of what we saw, Ryan. I mean, yeah, Logan was just dealing, and then the wheels come off, and we've seen it with Kirby, we've seen it with Wu, we've seen it with, I feel like everybody in this rotation where they're just lightning and they're just 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, and once the first hit happens or the first walk, it just kind of comes apart. But you had 2 hits yesterday. You had 2 hits, and you went up against Kyle Hendricks, and he's a big leaguer. The guy was having a brutal July. He had an ERA just a shade under 7 in the month of July. His ERA end of the season is just under 5. So it's not like you had some guy who's on a hot streak and really rolling and came in here and shut him down. That's, I think, for a lot of Mariner fans, including me, that's the maddening part, is watching them just get locked down by a guy who's got no business locking them down.
Hey, I'm with you, man. I was watching that game, and look, I'm not making excuses by any means because obviously other teams have gotten to Kyle Hendricks, but he leaned into the situation that it's 2025 and you see 95 to 98 every outing, and then all of a sudden you're getting this 86s, 87s. It's like, man, it can be, you want to pull your hair out. Now, when I say leaned in, he went slower than slow and slower on slower, right? And you could just see it building up. And that's where that frustration comes. We've seen this from the Mariners too offensively, where it's all or nothing. Again, we talked about just under half the runs come on the home run ball. And there's just the inability to chip away or to get something going. Where all of a sudden, like the Brewers, man, I keep going back to the Brewers because we had a chance to see them front and center. That's a team I follow because you profile them very similar to the Mariners. You really do. And trying to create that balanced lineup. And that's what when you were clicking on all cylinders, not just the long ball, not just the, hey, man, where's that 3-run bomb that the Mariners can get, and you don't get it, you need something else to happen as well. By the way, speaking of, just back to the Logan Gilbert thing, if you can get, in regards to this trade deadline, the Mariners are really well positioned, and I feel like Jerry DiPoto has been very vocal about this in the front office. If you can get that extra bullpen help and you start to see a Logan Gilbert, even if it's the 5th inning, guess what? You can pull the trigger way faster on to cover those innings, because covering 4 innings compared to covering 3 is a completely different ballgame. It really is. And so I was watching that too, going, oh man, this is a perfect scenario. Me and Goldie in the first game back in the second half, I said, hey, keys to the second half. One of them was, Kirby and Logan doing their thing. And the middle innings, that was another big one, those middle innings. How are they going to bridge the gap to 8th and 9th? Because it's been pretty touch and go. It's been pretty inconsistent. And so that's where that bullpen piece helps. You probably wouldn't see a Logan in that situation because Pete Woodworth, he knows his guys. He's looking, going, man, there's something up here. He's frustrated. Boom, let's get that bullpen cranking right now and get to it quicker in a situation like this.
Yeah, Kirby, you touched on that a little bit, and it was just kind of he has three walk games this year, and the last time he had 3 walks was like his rookie year. So It's just very uncommon for him. I mean, obviously we're complaining about something that like it never happens though with him, know, and he's kind of set a standard, right?
He has, and I'll be honest with you, watching him pitch, and I've said this to you guys before, when anyone who doesn't have that plus command gets frustrated, just like Logan Gilbert, then all of a sudden you see him spraying the ball. It's a typical pitcher thing, right? Spray the ball 2-0, 2-1. Oh, I got in bad counts. You hear it in the post game. Yeah, I just didn't get myself in good count. George is the opposite. He will give up some hits, get some frustration or whatever, and then he ends up in the middle of the plate, like middle of the plate, man, and in good counts too. So I'll be honest with you. If he's willing to expand, maybe walk a hitter or two, he has got such good command that he can just go right back to, all right, I'm pitching on the black here. I'm going to make my pitch, and you have to give me some kind of contact. As opposed to, oh, hey, look, a situation where if he doesn't have his best bullets or he doesn't have that best command, I don't want to see him end up in the middle of the plate. So I'll be honest with you. Seeing George Kirby more lately in regards to, love the plus command, don't get me wrong. But if he's going to walk 2 hitters because he's not giving in, I'm all for it, because the next hitter, man, his big weapon is that command, right? So he's going to get on the black and make something happen. So I've got no problem with that whatsoever. With the base on ball, with the walk rate from George, because I think he's in a really good spot right now. He's going to have a massive second half.
Ryan, I asked this question earlier for our listeners. I'm curious to get your answer to this. If hypothetically Mariners don't make the playoffs, will the biggest reason be their offense, or will it be their pitching?
Pitching, 100%. And I'll even go, depending on what happens this second half, you look back and go, man, we've really, fell flat on our face, splat, with the rotation. With some injuries thrown in there, you got Bryce Miller, who's pretty much missed more time than he's been pitching. You've got 7 weeks off of Logan Gilbert. He hasn't been as sharp, not getting as deep into games. And you've also got, George Kirby missed time. And so if they miss the playoffs, obviously the pitching won't be as good in this second half, let's say, looking in the future. And that would be something that, man, you have to look at and say, how do we sort of restructure this rotation? Hey, listen, we saw Cade Anderson the other day. And I'm talking about this on the upcoming new episode of The Top Step. but listen, think about this. The last 2 off seasons, we've talked about, are they willing to dismantle that rotation to make a trade? Because that's how they're going to, get that bat or whatever via trade. They're not going to do it so much through free agency. Now, I have always said, don't do it, man. If you've got this rotation, don't do it. But what we've seen this year, and the fact you might have this emergence from Cade Anderson, who's going to be a stud, coming from where he's come from and how good he is and everything else. Well, maybe that you talk about this offseason, maybe you start looking at dismantling this rotation. You start profiling a little bit differently, or restructuring what you have 1 through 5.
Well, there you go. You didn't even take a second to think about that. Pitching.
Yeah.
Pitching.
I know.
100%.
And I think most people would say the offense.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Hey, they've been a top 5 offense at times of the year. I'm telling you, and they're mid. Listen, this team coming out of spring training, you have somewhere close to the pitching they had last year, and a mid-range offense. Or I say this: if you had the offense you had this year last year, oh man, you're cruising into the playoffs. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Ryan, we appreciate you, my friend. As always, great stuff, and look forward to doing it again next week.
No worries. I'll let you get back to your little football news, whatever you're doing over there.
Your little football
camp, your little kids camp over there.
Oh, we appreciate it. Thanks, man.
See you guys.
There you go.